Is that the intro?
It's no secret. The Solinco Hyper G was a huge success both at the club/amateur level and also at the competitive level, anywhere between varsity high school all the way into the professional touring level. I mean, look at this idiot. It was his very first tennis string review, and he chose the Solinco Hyper G just because it was up and coming and very popular around the Milwaukee area. Solinco Hyper G is extremely underpowered. I personally felt that even when striking the ball correctly and setting my feet, look at that hair. At least he's not arrogant enough to dye it blonde in the near future, right? Solinco is doing what is kind of expected from them. They are taking a shaped poly that is rough and probably a little bit too firm according to some people, and they're making a softer version of it. Similarly, like how we can all agree that the Dallas Cowboys are the most overhyped NFL team that has ever existed, yet some people are still diehard Dallas Cowboys fans for some stupid reason. And trust me, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you're gonna wanna slow this video down to about 25% because there's gonna be some very big words I will be speaking to you guys about this tennis string review. If you haven't already, hit like and consider hitting subscribe, and also hit that notification bell icon because YouTube is actually not very good at notifying when your most beloved YouTube channels have uploaded a brand new video. It also helps original tennis content creators on YouTube be more visible to people like you that want to stay well informed in the tennis industry as consumers. I also do live stream on YouTube on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I recently added that I'll be streaming on Sunday night for popular demand reasons. Also, because I really don't have anything else better to do on a Sunday night. Bro, was you fan? As for the phrase I want you guys to keep in mind for this tennis string review, it's a 2-word phrase. Still searching. So, with that out of the way, let's see how the Solinco Hyper G Soft does on the court. The specs are actually exactly the same, along with the price, as the Solinco Hyper G Vanilla. It comes in at around $160 per reel, which ends up being about $10 per racket. And if you want to buy the packets, it's going to cost you about $12. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to today's sponsor, my moderators on Discord. Thank you, Karen, Zach, and Brian, who's actually my very regular hitting partner and also doubles partner. These guys are the real heroes for the Discord community, along with you guys, because they keep the peace in the Discord server so it doesn't spiral down into a cesspool of angry shit-flinging, unlike the other Discord channel that some of you might already know about. I will be referring to the Solinco Hyper G Original as vanilla from now on, so I don't have to be tongue-tied. The first 15 minutes of the Solinco Hyper-G Soft was exactly the same as its vanilla predecessor. Only after about 15 minutes and possibly a few points from the baseline to like 7 or 11 did I see a difference, subtly at first, but it became very apparent soon after. Everything I talk about with the Solinco Hyper-G Soft will be 1 hour after the break-in period, because this is where I started to see a world of a difference. So, do you guys recall that for the vanilla review I did on my channel way back about 9 months ago, I said that it was severely underpowered? Well, the Solinco Hyper-G Soft is not underpowered at all. There was adequate ball pocketing upon impact, but it didn't have the overpowering feel like the Solinco Confidential after the break-in period. And this string does offer good power for a shaped cold poly, yet it doesn't have the trampoline effect where the ball launches way high above the level of the net than you're expecting for the ball to possibly be sailing a lot longer from the baseline. The topspin was there, but it's nowhere near as much topspin potential and bite as vanilla. And although the underspin wasn't horrible with vanilla, it was very consistent off the string bed actually. These type of shots were significantly better on the soft version from the baseline. The ball pocketing was much more apparent with going under the ball, and the slices were comfortable enough in penetrating from the baseline to where you knew the opponent wasn't able to tee off on it because it stays nice and low. And I love it so much because it's still a comfortable string with a good amount of underspin for a shaped cold poly. As expected from the name, the feel was much better off the string compared to the vanilla version, but it's not perfect, and I'll get to that in a little bit. This was not a comfortable string. However, I would also say it's not uncomfortable either. It definitely wasn't plush like the Technofiber Razor Code, but it was significantly less painful than the vanilla version for both off-center hits and sweet spot hits on the baseline for both topspin and underspin. Oh my God.
Is that the intro?
This string absolutely slaps when it comes to flat serves. The ball pocketing, the placement, and the consistency were extremely good off of flat serves for a shaped copolyester. I did feel like I was able to precisely aim just for a little bit more for first flat serves without an overwhelming fear of the serve going out. And because of its softer nature, the ball zipped through the air a little bit faster than its vanilla cousin actually. At the expense of glowing reviews on flat serves, the string took a slight hit on spin serves, such as slice, topspin, and kick. Although the spin potential was there, similar to the baseline comment I made earlier, the spin potential was adequate at best. It just had a little bit less spin potential than its vanilla version, and unfortunately, it was pretty noticeable. As for the volleys and finesse shots, there was much more natural power and ball pocketing compared to the vanilla off of slower swing speed shots like volleys and drop shots. Although the vanilla was extremely consistent off the string bed, which is a very common theme in vanilla, this was just a bit more power overall off of the string bed without it being too overpowering. Overall, the feel and comfort off of this soft version is significantly better than its vanilla predecessor. Still searching is the phrase that I wanted you guys to kind of stick in your head, and this is why. Still Searching is the name of an album released in 2006 by a band called Senses Fail. Yes, I was a sophomore in high school when it released, and yes, it's an emo band. And yes, it's a pretty damn emo album. Still Searching is a follow-up to the band's first studio album entitled Let It Enfold You. And Let It Enfold You is actually my favorite album of all time. Still Searching, however, was a good album in its own right. However, it's not even in my top 5. I don't think it's even in my top 10, maybe definitely in my top 20. It's still a good album, but for different reasons. After listening to both of these albums for over 50 times each, most people would be absolutely correct, at least on the surface, thinking how these albums are similar enough because they're both from the same band, they're both emo, and they're both released in that emo, punk, grungy rock type of era. However, they're both great albums, but for very, very different reasons. Their debut album, Let It Enfold You, is actually a really typical emo album, just executed perfectly with really good mixing for what the band was striving for. And I believe they achieved it. The songs and the album and the themes of Let It Enfold You are filled with teenage hormones, bitter breakup, leftover bitters, and overall high school angst, something I still deal with on a day-to-day basis, unfortunately. And it captures those emotions perfectly. If you guys want a song to listen to from that album that describes that whole album perfectly, listen to Choke on This. But their follow-up album, Still Searching, is a much more refined, tightly sounded, and philosophical take on one man's journey from losing religion to diving into alcoholism and dealing with mental sanity, health issues, and depression. All themes that, believe it or not, adults in this day and age in the real world deal with day to day. And a lot more adults than you think deal with these themes on a day-to-day basis. The reason why I brought up Still Searching and Let It Enfold You is because yes, they are both great albums, and most people would think that they are great albums because they're similar in what they talk about and what they present. However, I would say that they are wrong. Similarly, the Solinco Hyper-G Soft and its vanilla predecessor are two very good strings, and on the surface they might seem very similar because of the packaging, who it's made from, and also what it kind of looks like. But in reality, after playtesting the Solinco Hyper-G Soft and its vanilla version for a very long time now, they are two completely different strings if you take the time and understand what it's telling you off the string bed. My two negatives on this string are, this string is not similar to its vanilla predecessor at all. Whether or not you actually consider that a negative, I don't care. I just wanted to say that as, to me, it is a negative. But more importantly, the string bed response off of this racket was slightly inconsistent from the bass line. There were times that the ball did sail about 3 feet longer than normal than what I expected, even though it didn't have that trampoline effect. It seemed like there were pockets of power on my string bed that I didn't know existed. And yes, that goes for both slightly off-center hits and sweet spot hits. It's just a little bit too inconsistent for me. This playtest was with my Head Radical Pro 2019 version, and the string was strung at 55 pounds. And as always, happy hitting. Thanks so much, guys. I know this Solinco Hyper-G Soft tennis string review was kind of a long one coming, and I wanted to take my time on it. And in all honesty, a lot of things at work have started to get really busy, so I appreciate your guys' patience. On the backlog, I do have the E-Zone 98 racket review, and I am reviewing 2 tennis shoes upcoming for you guys. And also, the very next string for me to review is actually the Onyx Polytour Rev, which I'm already playtesting as we speak. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys in the next one.